This conference will now be recorded.
In this session, we are going to discuss detail page button with the JavaScript. Okay, detail page button with the JavaScript. Detail page button with the JavaScript. With the JavaScript. Okay, okay. With the JavaScript. Here the functionality is we are working on the opportunity object. Okay, we are opportunity is a standard object. We are working on the opportunity object. Opportunity is a standard object. Another object that is called case. Case is another standard object. Case is another standard object. Case is another standard object. First go to the case object. Okay, first go to the case object. Go to the object and create a lookup relationship field. Lookup relationship field with the opportunity. Okay, with the opportunity, go to the case object and create a lookup relationship field with the case object. Okay, here we created one relationship field that is nothing but this one, that is nothing but opportunity info, opti info. We created, this is our field. Okay, one second. In the previous session we created, this is our field. Okay, this is our field and this is a API name. This is a API name. Okay, this is API name. Then the step two is go to the case, I mean related list, opportunity related list, opportunity related list. We have to go to the opportunity related list. This is the opportunity related list, right? I mean, yeah, this is a case, right? This is a case related list. This is related to the opportunity. This is related to the opportunity, and we have to remove new button. Okay, we have to remove new button. We have to remove. We have to remove new button from case related list. Okay, from case related list. This is our second step. Okay, go to the case related list and we have to remove from the, we have to remove new option. Go to the case related list and we have to remove the new button. We have to remove the new button. That is the second step. Now the third one is, the third step is create a detail page button. Okay, create a detail page button at the opportunity level. Opportunity level. Create a detail page button at the opportunity level. We have to create a detail page button. There is some problem with the network. That is my side only. Okay, that is my side. Go to the opportunity object. Okay, go to the opportunity object and create a detail page button. How to create a button? Okay, how to create a button? Go to your opportunity object. We have new button or link is there, right? Click on this button. Okay, you have to enter your button name. You have to enter your button name. What is the display type? Here the display type is nothing but a detail page button, right? Now what is the content source? Content source is nothing but based on which one we are trying to developing this button, by using Visual Force Page or JavaScript. We are trying to developing by using JavaScript. We are trying to developing by using JavaScript here. Okay, by using JavaScript. So already we developed one button. This is our button, case creation button. Okay, this is our button, case creation button. Okay, here the first point is whenever we are trying to developing a detail page button with the JavaScript, the first point is here. The first point we have to add these two lines. We have to add these two lines, connection.javascript, okay, apex.javascript. We have to include these two lines in the JavaScript code. That is the first point. That is the first point. One is connection.javascript and another one is apex.javascript. Then only it will identify this code is a JavaScript code. The system it will identify this is a JavaScript code. That is the first point. Whenever we are trying to developing a detail page button or any button with the JavaScript, our first point is we have to include these two lines. One is connection.javascript and another one is apex.javascript. That is the first point. The second point is here. The second point, what is our requirement? What is our requirement? You will go to here, click on this particular button, click on this particular button. Then one dialog box here we have to come, one confirm box. This is called confirm box. Here you have to observe. This is called confirm box. This is called confirm box. Why we will call it as a confirm box means it is asking the permission. It is taking the permission from the user. Shall we continue or we have to cancel? Shall we continue or we have to cancel? It is taking the permission from the user. And here you have to observe the text is nothing but are you sure you want to create a case, right? Some text also we should need, right? Confirm box is nothing but it is taking the permission from the user whether we have to continue or cancel along with some text, so how we are going to get this confirm box? How we are going to get this confirm box is nothing but we have to include JavaScript code here. We have to include JavaScript code here. Here you have to observe window.confirm, window.confirm. So window.confirm, and within this here we have to include in the single quote. This is a JavaScript code. JavaScript code is a case sensitive. Okay, JavaScript code is a case sensitive. In the sense means there is a difference between small letter and capital letter. Our Apex programming is not case sensitive. We are writing Apex class, right? Integer means I will write small letter or capital letter. It doesn't matter. That is not a case sensitive. But JavaScript programming language is a case sensitive. There is a difference between small letter and capital letter. Just remember. Okay, then the coming into our concept. So we need a confirm box. We need a confirm box in the JavaScript. How to get the confirm box is nothing but by using window.confirm. In the single quote here you have to write your text. In the single quote here we have to write our text here. For example, click on this one. Are you sure you want to create a case, right? That text is included here. That text. So then the next one is, suppose you will click on this OK. Then we have to identify, right, whether you click on OK or you click on cancel. That is our next step. First we added the confirm box. How we added the confirm box? By using window.confirm. So what is here the text? Are you sure you want to create a case? So then the system automatically display with OK and cancel button. What is the second step? The second step, the next step is nothing but we have to identify the user click on the OK button or cancel button. How to identify is nothing but suppose user click on this OK button, then it will give true. Then it will give true. Suppose user click on the cancel button, then it will give the false. Then it will give the false. That we have to identify, right? That we have to identify. So we are trying to storing into variable. We are trying to storing into variables. Generally true or false in the sense means that is a boolean variable, right? That is a boolean data type, right? Boolean data type, right? Here in the JavaScript there is no variable. Sorry, there is no data types. There is no data types. Everything we will treat it as a variable. Everything we will treat it as a variable. That's why whatever the result is there, right? True or false. OK means true, cancel means false. That we are storing into one variable. My variable name is anything here. My variable name I am using it as a confirm. So and here I am just declaring it as a var. Var means this is a variable. We are telling to the system confirm is a variable and it will store either true or false. Either true or false. How we are getting true or false? Suppose you will click on OK, then the system it will push true into confirm variable. If you will click on cancel, then the system it will push false into this confirm variable. Now in the confirm variable we have either true or false. Either true or false. Now the next step is what? If we will click on OK, then only we have to continue, right? Otherwise we have to cancel our process, right? Otherwise we have to stop our process, right? What is our process? We are trying to creating a case record. That case record process we have to stop. That process we have to stop. So whenever user click on this OK button, it is a true, right? Now the next step is I'm just checking if it is true or not. If, see, I'm using like this, okay? If confirm is equals to true, right? Generally they will use like this, right? Generally we will use like this, right? So instead of that, what we will do is some people directly, okay, like this, confirm means if it is a true. Sometimes confirm is equals to false, right? So what, instead of that, what they will use is nothing but, what they will do is nothing but not true. Not, this is not symbol, right? This is a not true, okay? This is not true. So instead of using directly confirm is equals to true like this, some people directly they will use like this. This is a true. If it is a true, then it will enter into here. For example, not true in the sense means not symbol, and this is a confirm means it is a false. If it is a false, if it is a false, here we are using if it is a true means what is this line? Confirm is equals to true like this. Confirm is equals to true, then it will enter into here, then it will enter into here means we are telling to this button I want to continue my process, I want to continue my process. Then the system it will execute this one, then the system it will execute this one. What is this one? Go to here again, already we implemented, right? Go to here, go to here, click on this OK button, see, click on this one, click on this one. Then what system it is asking? Why you are creating a case, and this is some text box. This is some text box means we are entering the data here, right? Suppose we are trying to developing a visual force space, and now we are trying to take the input from the user. Then how we are taking the input from the user? Apex input to text box or some other boxes we will use, right? We will use, right? Here also we are taking the input from the user. In the JavaScript we are taking the input from the user. How we are taking the input from the user? How we are taking the input from the user? By using prompt. Here we are trying to taking the input from the user. See here, this is nothing but a prompt. This is nothing but a prompt here. This is nothing but a prompt. See here, prompt. Why you are creating a case? Why you are creating a case? See, again go to here. We are taking the input from the user. We are taking the input from the user. See, this is the input. See, this is a text box, and sorry, this is a text, and this is a text box. User he will enter some data here. User he will enter some data here. So that reason we are trying to capturing. So here we are using prompt. See here, prompt, prompt. This is nothing but JavaScript function only. JavaScript function. Why we are trying to creating a case? Why we are trying to creating a case? So then user he will enter some text there. That data we are trying to storing into one variable. That variable is nothing but a reason. That variable is nothing but a reason. Okay, that variable is nothing but a reason here. Then the next one is, then what is our next step? So what is our next step? We have to create a case, right? We have to create a case. So then where we have to create a case? In the JavaScript code only we have to create a, that business logic we have to write, or somewhere we have to write. So generally that business logic always will write inside Apex class. Business logic in the sense means what? See, we are inserting the data, right? Where we are inserting the data? In the object level, right? Suppose we want to fetch the data from the object level, or update the data in the object level, or insert the data in the object level. These type of logic we will always write inside methods only. Okay, here we are trying to creating a record. Where we are trying to creating a record? Inside case object. In the case object we are trying to creating a record. Means we are working with the case object. So whenever we are working with the objects like creating or selecting or updating, then that type of logic always we will write inside methods only. Method means what? Apex class only, right? Apex class only, right? So how to write an Apex class here? My Apex class name is nothing but your case creation record. This is my Apex class. How to write an Apex class? This is my Apex class. Public class. This is my Apex class. Okay, this is my Apex class. So class is a combination of variables. Class is a combination of variables plus constructor plus method, right? So here I'm writing one constructor here, public. This is my constructor. This is my constructor, and the next one is method. I am writing one method. This is static method we are using here. Public void create case record. Okay, create case record. This is my method. Assume that this is my method. So finally this is my class. Finally this is my class. So this is my class, this is a constructor, and this is a method. This is a method. In this method we have to create a case. In this method we have to create a case. How to create a case? Case c is equals to new case. Already we discussed, right? Suppose we want to create one account record. Account acc is equals to new account acc dot name and insert acc, right? Here also case c is equals to new case. I means we have to create an instance for that particular object. Case is a standard object, that's why directly case is equals to new case. There is no underscore underscore c. Now in the case, which fields are mandatory? Status is mandatory. Status, my client is saying always you have to use new. And the next one is which field is mandatory? Case origin is mandatory. Case origin is mandatory. So here we are trying to using email or web. Okay, we are using web or some other value. So these are the standard fields. Then the next one is subject line. Subject line is also there. These are the fields based on my requirement. Based on my requirement we are adding. So the c dot subject line. What is the subject line? In the sense means my client is expecting you are taking the input from the user, right? You are taking the input from the user, right? That input here you have to include. That input here you have to include. Okay, then the next one is we have to create. Okay, we have to create a case. Where we have to create a case? For this particular opportunity only we have to create a case, right? For this particular opportunity only we have to create a case, right? So what is that relationship field? See, this is a relationship field, right? Just now we created c dot opti info is equals to current record id, right? Current record id. So current record id, this is a current record id, right? This is a current record id. For this current record only we have to include we have to create a case, right? So finally whenever we are trying to creating a case in this particular method, we need two values. One is subject line and another one is current record id. From this javascript button we should need two values. One is subject line and another one is current record id. Here what is this? Here what I will do, I will take two parameters. String is subject info. Okay, subject info, and another one is string is current record id. Current record id, I will take this parameter and I will assign here. And here also I will take the subject information. I will just go and assign into here. We are taking the input from the javascript and we are assigning into this particular method. From this particular method I am trying to assigning into this variable. Finally we will just go and insert this case record. So case record is inserted. Case record is inserted. So we have a class. In this class, this is a method, this is a constructor, and this is a method. This method, it will take two parameters. This method, it will take two parameters. One is subject and another one is current record id. Based on these details, we are trying to creating a case record. We are trying to creating a case record. Now coming into here. So we are taking the input from the user, right? Now what is my next step? Based on that input, we have to create a case record. We
Sir, I
have to
have,
create.
sir, one question here.
Yeah.
We have a current, we are taking the current record ID, right? Why are we not using the ID record type? Instead, why are we using the string?
Record type ID. Okay, 1 second. What is your question? Current record ID, right? You are talking. We have
Yeah.
to use ID data type, right? That's what you are asking, right?
Yeah, why are we not using that?
Always we will use the string data type for whenever we are taking the from the URL. Whenever we are taking IDs, always we will use string only.
Okay, but the ID one will also holds true for the current record, the record ID, right?
Yes. We will generally current record ID, this ID, two data types. Okay, one is string or another one is ID. Okay, this is a ID, right? This is a ID. Suppose we want to refer this ID, how we are going to refer is nothing but ID I1 is equals to this value. Okay, otherwise string S1 is equals to this value. Okay, two options we have. So whenever we are working, we are taking the ID from the user, from the UI. That time we will always use string only.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
Nirmala?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a ID, record ID. Always the data type is ID. But whenever we are taking from the UI, from the URL or from the user, we are trying to taking that time. Always we have to go and use the string data type. String data type. Okay, now coming into here our concept, we are taking the input from the user. Means what is the reason why you are trying to creating a case. We are taking the input from the user and we are trying to storing into this particular variable. Then what is my next step? We want to create a case record. Where we will create a case record? In the JavaScript code we will create a case record, or where we will create a case? Always we will write business logic inside method. Method is nothing but apex class. Here my apex class name is nothing but go to here. This is my apex class name. Case creation record. Case creation record. See, this is my apex class name. This is my apex class name. How to call an apex class from the JavaScript is nothing but, see here, S-Force. Salesforce dot, ours is a apex programming, right? Apex dot execute. Salesforce dot apex dot execute. We have to, no need to remember the syntaxes. No need to remember the syntaxes. We have to go to the Google and we have to get it. Just remember how to call apex class method from the JavaScript code is nothing but apex.execute. That is enough. Remaining syntax we have to get it from the Google. So apex.execute. Then the system it is asking, what is your class name? My class name is nothing but this one. Here we are trying to giving in the single quote. See here, single quote. No need to remember whether we have to give in the single quote or double quote. We will get directly from the Google. I mean, we will get this syntax and we will copy paste it. So this is nothing but our apex class name. Whenever we are writing an apex class name, the apex class is telling don't use public access modifier. You have to use global access modifier. Then only I will identify. Otherwise, I will not identify. So whenever we are trying to calling an apex class from the JavaScript code, from the JavaScript detail page button, always we have to use global access modifier only. Suppose we will use public, then it will not identify. Then the next step is we have to call our method, right? What is our method here? Case creation. Assume that here case creation. This is my method. Okay, this is my method. This is my constructor. Okay, this is my method. Case creation. This is my method. So whenever we are trying to calling this method, right? The next step is first we are trying to calling a class, right? Then the next one is we have to call a method, right? We have to call a method. So what is my method syntax is nothing but method is saying you have to use web service and static. The remaining thing is remaining void or some other as our wish. But before this particular method, this should be a static method and we have to use web service keyword. Web service keyword. This is the syntax. Otherwise, it will not identify a method. So first one is class. Whenever we are trying to calling a class, we have to use global access modifier to the class. Then the next step is we have to call a method, right? How to call a method is nothing but we have to use web service static, and after that as our requirement, based on our requirement. So void or integer or string or id, that is based on our requirement. So case creation, this is my method name, and here we have to add this any number of parameters. So then the next one is how many parameters we are taking. One is opportunity record id, right? See here, one is same order, opti record id, right? Opti record, see here, record id, this is one parameter. Parameter name should be anything. Why I am using opti record id in the sense means here I am using the opti record id, my variable name. That's why I'm using same name here. Then what is my another name? String reason. See here, string reason. Okay, reason. string reason. So these two variables are reason info. This is another variable. This is another variable. We have to declare only two variables, and my variable name is also the same thing. No, anything, it doesn't matter. Anything, it doesn't matter. But whatever you are giving the variable name here, right? While calling here, you have to observe, we have to use the same name. We have to use same name. This is my variable name. This is my variable name. This is my another variable name. This is my another variable name. This is my another variable name. This is one variable and this is another variable. This is a class and this is a method. This is a class and this is a method. This is one variable and this is another variable. So how we are calling? By using salesforce.apex.execute. Salesforce.apex.execute method. Execute method. This is my class name and this is my method name. In this method, one parameter is there. This is another parameter. This is another parameter. Now, so for this particular first parameter, we are trying to passing the current record ID. How to pass a current record ID is nothing but this is the syntax. This is the syntax. Suppose we want to pass here opportunity dot id. No need to remember the syntaxes. Okay, no need to remember. We have to understand the requirement clearly. Then the second step is what are the steps we have to take. So here, while calling from the JavaScript, we have to call an apex method. So the next step is what? We are trying to creating a case. That case, which opportunity? For the current opportunity, right? So we need a current opportunity record. How to pass current opportunity record from the JavaScript to the method? That we have to go and search it. How to pass current record ID from JavaScript detail page button into the Apex class? So that we have to go and search. Then we will get the syntax. Here we are trying to getting the current opportunity ID here. Then the next one is what is another variable? This is another variable, reason info. This reason we are trying to collecting from here, right? This reason we are trying to collecting from here, right? So finally, by using salesforce.apex.execute method, we are trying to calling this apex class. While calling an apex class, this apex class should be a global. Then the next one is we are trying to calling a method, right? That method should be a web service and a static method. That method should be a web service and a static method. Okay. Then the next one is this method is taking two parameters. One parameter is this one and another parameter is this one. We are taking the data from the current record ID we are taking, and reason info is nothing but this is we are collecting from the user. We are trying to collecting from the user those details we are trying to pass into this particular method. Yes, this method is receiving. It will receive this opportunity record ID and it will receive reason info. Take this opportunity record ID and it will go to here. See, opportunity record ID and reason info is there, right? Here we are trying to passing into this subject line. So based on this subject and for this particular opportunity, we are trying to creating one case record. Once created case record, so we have to tell to the user, boss, I created a case record. For example, here you have to observe. Go to here. Go to here. This is my opportunity. Go to here and case creation. You have to observe. Click on this one first. It is taking the permission from the user. Cancel means it will not create. For example, go to here, click on case creation, click on this OK. It is taking. Why we are trying to creating a case? We are creating a case? Okay, case. Okay, test. This is my reason. Click on this OK. Whenever we will click on this OK button, what system it is doing? It is calling my method. While calling the method, it is passing some current record ID and that reason. Based on that details, it is creating a case record. Once created a case record, see, case record has been created successfully and this is your case record ID. This is case record ID. That information we have to provide. To the JavaScript. Then what we have to do? We have to go and use return statement here. What we have to return? Return.id. Just now we are trying to creating a case record, right? That ID we are trying to return. Return c.id. Return c.id. Okay, return c.id means we are creating a case. From the case record we are returning ID. See here, this here it is calling. This is my JavaScript. This is calling this method. This method is executing. Finally it is returning the result to this particular here. that it will store the result into this particular variable. It will store the result into this particular variable here. It will store this result into this particular variable here. Okay, now what here we are doing, one second, return c dot id, return c dot id. So whenever we are returning, we have to remove void, right? Then here we have to use id. Here we have to use id whenever we are trying to taking the data from the user, the id, or from the url we are trying to taking, that time always we will use string. So in this case we are returning an id, right? Case record has been created and we are giving an id. Here also id only, here also id only, but we will always use a string, and remaining cases we will always use the data type as a id. See here we are using, we are returning, this method is calling from the javascript. It is performing the logic, finally it is giving the result. That result is nothing but id. That's why here we are giving the return type as id. Now coming into my javascript, coming into my javascript, here you have to observe. So within this line, within this line we are calling this particular class, this particular method, right? This is my class, this is my class, and this is my method, right? This is my method, right? So it will perform the business logic, right? It will perform the business logic. That result, here we are trying to storing into this particular variables here. So we are telling to the system, call this particular class, in this class call this particular method. While calling this method, take these two parameters and execute this logic. Finally you have to give the result, whether it is id or it is success or failure, you have to give the result. That result we are trying to storing into these particular variables here. This is my result. So, and again here we are giving, if result is equals to null, if result is equals to null means result, if there is problem while creating, while inserting a case record, if there is any problem is there, then it will return as a null, then it will return as a null, then it will return as a null. That time we are trying to displaying an error message by using alert box. This is nothing but alert box. Here you have to observe, this is called case creation, this is confirm box. Click on this ok, this is prompt box, and click on this ok. Then this is nothing but alert box, alert box. Here it is giving some information to the user. Okay, here it is giving some information to the user. This is nothing but we will call it as a alert box. Finally we are trying to creating one alert box here. Finally we are trying to creating one alert box. Alert error occurred, please contact system administrator. So if result does not equals to null, case record has been created successfully. Okay, case record has been created successfully. So here we are trying to printing the result. So this is a confirm box, this is a prompt. Prompt is nothing but to take the data from the user. Confirm box means we have to take the permission from the user, whether it we have to continue or not. Alert box means we have to display to the user. Just remember, alert box, we have to display information, we are alerting the user, this is the information, this is the information. Okay, now we want to call the apex class means salesforce.apex.execute. That apex class, it should be a global access modifier. This method should be a web service static method, and these parameters as our wish, which parameters we will pass. Finally it will perform the business logic and it will give the result. Now coming into here, already we developed this button, right? Already we developed this button and we added this button into here. Now case create, click on case creation. Are you sure you want to create a case? Yes. What is the, okay, dummy case, this is my subject line. Click on ok. Yes, case record has been created successfully. My apex class, my apex method called and it performed the business logic. It created a case record. Finally it is giving the information to the user, boss, we created a case record and this is an id here. So how it is mentioning an id in the sense means, here you have to observe, I added in the result, I added in the result, in the result we added. Here you have to observe, case record has been created successfully plus result, plus result. So where we will find that case? Now go to here, see here, where we click on this ok button, where we will find a create a case. See here, refresh this one, where we will find a create a case. Go to list name. See, dummy case, right? Just now we created this case, right? Dummy case record has been created, right? So this is one type of requirement, this is one type of requirement. Okay, click on the detail page button, it will ask the user, it will ask the user, okay, to take permission. If we click on ok, then it will create. Okay, and I will give one more requirement. You have to practice. Okay, this is opportunity. Any questions on this one before going into another requirement? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Now coming into here, my requirement is we are performing the clone up functionality. Okay, we are performing the clone. Maximum this clone functionality everyone will use. Okay, clone is nothing but we are trying to creating a record. See, there is no clone button. I will go to edit layout. One clone is one standard button is there. Go to your buttons. You have to search clone. Yes, this is a clone standard button. You see here, clone standard button is there. Clone standard button. Finally, try to save this one. Every object has a clone button. Clone is a standard button which is provided by the Salesforce. Every object has a clone button. What is this clone button? Suppose we want to create a record. How we will create a record? Go to opportunity tab. See, go to opportunity tab. Click on this new button. Select all these details and enter all these details and click on the save button, right? We created one case record, right? We created one case record. Okay. Salesforce is provided one option that is nothing but clone option. Why we have to go with the clone option is we created one record. See, this is my record. Now I want to create another record with the same details. Only some fields I want to change. For example, here I want amount is same, expected revenue, close date, stays, opportunity record type, everything is same. Only we want to change this opportunity name from test opti to test opti 1. Then how we will do? How we will do? Go to opportunities, click on the new button and select all these details and click on the save button. Instead of doing all these things, what we will do? I will use clone button. Click on this clone button. Click on this clone button. See here, automatically it will take the current record details. So I will just go to here and I will select, I will update my field and click on the save button. Clone is nothing but we are trying to creating a duplicate record. We are trying to creating a duplicate record for the current record. We are trying to creating a duplicate record for the current record. So for the current record, whatever the current record is there, right? For that record we are trying to creating a duplicate record, that is nothing but clone. Clone is a standard button which is provided by the Salesforce. Why we have to go to the clone button is nothing but I want to create a case record or opportunity record or any record, but while creating I want all these details same. Only I want to change the name or only some other field I want to change, not only name, only one field I want to change. Instead of going into the new tab and click on this button and again enter all these details manually, we have clone option. Click on this clone. The system automatically produce one more record. So whatever the fields you want, you will just go and change it and click on the save button. It will create a new record. It will create a new record. That is nothing but clone functionality, standard clone functionality. But we have to go with the custom clone functionality. We have to go with the custom clone. Maximum all the projects they will use custom clone functionality. Custom clone functionality is nothing but whenever we will click on the clone button, what it will do? What it will do? All the fields, whatever the fields it is there, right? How many fields are there in the layout? Each and every field it will clone. Each and every field it will clone. But my requirement is not like that. Whenever you will click on the clone button, first it will ask the user, boss, are you sure you want to clone this particular record? Click on OK. Click on OK. Then we want to clone a opportunity record. Which details I want to clone? I don't want all the details. Standard clone button. What is the problem with the standard clone button is all these fields. How many fields are there here? All these fields it will clone. All these fields it will clone. But I don't want to clone all these fields. Only 5 or 6 fields we want to clone. But before cloning, we have to take the permission from the user. That is my requirement. So our requirement is create a custom clone button by using JavaScript button. So in opportunity, create a custom clone button. Whenever user click on this custom clone button, then what we have to do? It should ask the user, are you sure you want to create a you want to clone? Yes. Whenever you will click on this clone, then what we have to do? We have to pass this current record ID, right? Based on this current record ID, we have to query the current record, right? Based on that current record, we have to create a new opportunity record, right? Once create a new opportunity record, we have to redirect to that particular new opportunity record. That is my requirement. That is my requirement. Develop a custom clone functionality. Develop a custom clone functionality. See, I will give some information. You have to practice this one. You have any questions, then let me know. This is my detail page button. This is my detail page button. Whenever user click on this particular detail page button, it will call my JavaScript. First, what we will do, we have to take permission from the user, right? First, we have to add these two lines, connection.javascript, apex.javascript. Then the second one is what we have to do. We have to take permission from the user, right? We have to develop a confirm box. Yes, confirm box. If we will select OK, then we have to use if confirm. If confirm. Then what we have to do? We have to create a 1K opportunity record based on which details we want to create. Based on current record only, we want to create an opportunity record based on current record. So then the next one is go on to develop one Apex class here. That Apex class is a global, and go on to develop one more method. That method is nothing but web service static method. Okay, web service static method. This is web service static method. This is a method. Then this method, it will take an opportunity ID. So the current record, right? You have to pass the current record opportunity ID. In this current record opportunity ID, you have to query it. Select ID name from opportunity where ID equals to this ID. Means current record details we are getting, right? Based on current record details, we are creating a new opportunity. Opportunity OPP is equals to new opportunity. Okay, OP dot stage name is equals to this one. OP dot stage name is equals to this one. OP dot close date this one. OP dot type this one. Insert OP means opportunity record it will create. Then return OP. Return OP. So it will give the result to this one. It will give the result to this one. Then from here we will redirect to that newly created record. This is our complete example. This is our complete example. Go on to develop a custom clone functionality. In interview also, sometimes they will ask what type of requirement you work. Okay, you are saying you are working on the Visual Force page, right? What is your requirement? Okay, I developed one detail page button with JavaScript. The functionality is creating a case record, and another functionality is clone functionality, and another functionality is we are trying to displaying the data from the account and associated contact record by using wrapper classes. Such page also we developed. Such page also we developed. These are only real-time cases. Suppose you will go to the interview and they will ask you, "Boss, you work with the development?" Yes, I work with the development. What you work? Assume that I work with the Visual Force page and Apex class. Yes, what is your business requirement? We have to say all these things. So we are clear, right? Oh, this is my requirement. So detail page button we developed. Why you developed? I have an opportunity. For that opportunity, I have an account. That account, some contact records are there. We have to display to the user. User will select that particular box and click on the save button. It will update in the current opportunity. That is one requirement. Then what is another requirement? We developed one detail page button with the JavaScript. Why we developed? My requirement is we have to create a case record. We have to create a case record from opportunity. We have to give the scenario. Then another requirement, developed one detail page button, custom clone functionality. Why you have to go with the custom clone functionality? Already standard clone functionality is there, right? He will ask. So because of standard clone functionality means it will clone all the fields. How many fields are there in the layout? 100 fields are there. It will clone 100 fields. I don't want to clone 100 fields. So I want to clone only based on my business requirement. We want to clone some fields. So then the other one is before cloning, we have to take permission from the user. This is my scenario. Standard clone button, it will not provide this facility. So that's why we developed a detail page button with the JavaScript. Okay. So suppose we will go to the interview, we have to say we work with the Visual Force page and Apex class. I mean, these 5 requirements is enough. I mean, we will develop maximum these type of requirements only. Suppose you join in the project, you are working with the Visual Force page and Apex class or Lightning we will start. Okay, these type of requirements only. So any questions? We are clear, right? What type of development we did? Suppose anyone will ask, you worked within the programming, right? What type of development you did? We are in a position, right, to answer. Detail page buttons, search page, JavaScript buttons, clone functionality like this, right? Okay, any questions? Okay, now coming into here. So one more example for your practice purpose I will give. See here, we develop this is search page, right? This is a search page, right? This is search page. Suppose you will just go to here and click on search button. What it will do? It will display all the account records, right? All the account records, right? Go to here, go to here. This is my search page. Okay, you will enter here account name. Okay, you will enter account name here. So you will enter these details, okay, and click on the search button. Then what it will give? It will give all the account records, right? So what we will do, the next step, okay, we are by using page block table we are displaying, right? What you will do? So then for each and every account you will just go and display one checkbox. Checkbox means which concept we will go? We'll go with the wrapper class. For each and every record, for each and every record, go and display one checkbox. Here this is one checkbox, this is account record information, this is account record, this is account record, this is account record. User will select this particular checkbox and click on the submit button. Click on the submit button. Click on the submit button. These details you will just go and create in another object. Another object, for example, custom account, you will just go and create. Whatever the user he will select, right? This record you have to pass. Based on this record, you will just go and create another record. Another record. So here we are understanding how to implement wrapper classes, right? And the selected record also we are trying to passing into this particular method, right? So we have to practice how we have to practice how we have to take the data from the user. Once we will take the data from the user, how we have to pass that data to the method. So once we will pass the data, then from the method again I want to display the data to the user. So once we will display the data to the user, again user he will select that data I want to pass, how to pass the method. These type of, I mean, communication, how we are passing, how we are displaying, how we are taking the updated data from the user, that we have to practice, that we have to practice. So finally this business logic is common. So the presentation, how we are presenting to the user. In the classic version, you are presenting to the user. Yes, you have to go with it to the visual for space. In the lightning version, we are presenting to the user. We have to go with the Aura or LWC. Aura with the LWC. When we have to go with the Aura, when we have to go with the lightning web component, means that is our client requirement. Finally, how we are presenting the data. For presentation purpose, we are using tags. Apex colon input to text, apex colon data table, apex colon page block table, apex colon form. That is visual for space. Lightning tags are different. Everything is same. Everything is same. That's why I'm explaining this visual for space. Because of some people will tell visual for space is outdated, no need to learn. It is not like that. Suppose we learn the visual for space, suppose we have a basic idea in the visual for space, then lightning aura is easy. Suppose we learn lightning aura, then LWC is easy. Suppose some other functionality, some other new technology came for presenting UI. Suppose you know LWC or aura or visual for space, that is very easy. Whenever we are coming into the workflows, you remember workflows are outdated. Outdated in the sense means presently any person is trying to creating field update, they will go with the process builder. They will not accept workflows. Some projects outdated in the sense means new version came, process builder came. To understand the new version, suppose you know the workflow, then it is very easy, right? Then it is very easy. Suppose I will directly go to the process builder and I will explain the process builder. So instead of doing like that, I will go to the workflows. This is the functionality, this is the business. Then I will go to the process builder. Then you will go to the process builder. Then we will easily understand, right? So workflows are outdated. Simply they will say workflows are outdated. But already existing projects, in my project, 200 workflows are there. 200. Suppose any new requirement came, I will go with the process builder. Okay. But to understand the process builder, we have to know, suppose we know the workflow, it is very easy. So suppose we know the workflow, it is very easy. So that's why what I'm trying to say is put more concentration on the visual for space also. Okay, so it is not like outdated. There is some suppose we know visual for space, then lightning is very easy. Lightning is very easy. Suppose lightning we know, suppose any new technology came in the future, that is very easy. So finally, how we are taking the data from the user, how we are passing that data to the user. Once we pass it, how to get that data and how to display the data. So this is enough. This is enough. Okay. And this is for today. In the next session, we are trying to developing one list button. List button. This is called detail page button, right? In the next session, go to here. Here you have to observe this is called list button. New contact is one list button, merge contacts is one list button, new opportunity is one list button. All these are list button. That is final example. So one form we discussed one form, right? Student form. Then the next one is search page we discussed, right? Detail page button with the visual force page, detail page button with the JavaScript, right? Detail page button with the JavaScript. So in the next session we will discuss the list button. List button we will discuss. Then some functions are there, how to display error messages, action status, action function. Within 1 or 2 sessions we will close our visual force pages, then we will enter into our lightning. This is for today's session. If you have any questions, we'll go one by one. 1 second.